Hey everyone, welcome to the Water Lad Podcast. I'm James Marshall, and yes, this is going to be the last episode of Season 1. Thanks to everyone who's tuned into one episode or any amount of episodes this season. Really enjoyed bringing them to you. I've caught up with heaps of awesome lads, and it's been awesome to hear some of the big dogs be themselves for you guys. So really enjoyed doing it, and yeah, thanks for listening. A quick shout out to our three main sponsors who have helped bring this episode to you: Fortune Favours, Pure Sport CBD, and Manscaped. So stay tuned to the end of this episode to see how you can get involved with any of these three great products. But let's get into it. With this being the last episode of Season 1, all series need a good finale. I knew I needed to go big, not big in size, but big in lad. So I'm extremely excited to have one of the best lads in the game, voted by his peers. He's had a hell of a journey, which has seen him play for Otago, Waikato, Hawke's Bay, the Chiefs, New Zealand Maoris, and now he's at the very top of the game with the ABs. It is champion lad Brad Weber. Thanks for coming on, Webby.
What a hell of an intro, Jimmy Mar. That's, I think, the best one I've ever had. Thanks, mate.
Oh, jeez. Made the top of the list already. That's good stuff. But how's ISO? I know you've been pretty busy. A lot of people have been keeping up with your antics. How have you found it? It looks like you're loving it.
I've actually had a hell of a time. Yeah, I've been sweet. Hearing about all the horror stories, I haven't had any of those yet, so I've had plenty of fun on my own.
Yeah, what have you been up to? What's been keeping you busy?
Well, other than choking the chicken. No, I've been reading, mate. I've been watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to learn how to DJ at the moment, so that's keeping me real busy.
Yeah, I saw you doing a bit of DJing in your clip. So have you done a bit of DJing before, or is this something that you want to sort of pursue, or is this sort of off the cuff? Now you're into it.
Yeah, not really. I had done bugger all of it, really. I bought a controller a couple of years ago, and we just get it out at like house parties with the boys and stuff, just to have a play around. But I've got no real idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And since that video was released, George FM challenged me to do a 10-minute hot set live on air next week. So I'm absolutely shitting myself that I have to do that. So I've been spending the last 3 or 4 days constantly on it, trying to learn. I've watched that many YouTube videos. So, yeah, I'll be more nervous than any footy game I've ever played.
Have you got your set sort of planned?
So I think I've narrowed it down to about 5 songs that I'm just going to smash over these next 3 days and try and memorize exactly where it goes and hope that it sounds semi-decent.
And is the dream to pursue the DJ career?
Oh, absolutely not. To be fair, it has been quite fun, but yeah, I'm just not really musically talented enough. I'd like to get good enough that I could play for my mates at a house party or something like that. That'd be all right. But
not
R&B. I'm much better suited just being a punter out in the crowd, getting cooked.
You're well known for your R&B. How many times have you been?
So I've been 9 times. So I'm going again this year, and it'll be my 10th time. So a true veteran. But to be fair, growing up in Hawke's Bay, that was the natural thing to do, is just go to R&B. It's only just up the road. So yeah, that covered a few, but I do love it.
R&B legend.
I live for it.
And what have you been doing to keep yourself fit?
They gave us a watt bike each, so I've been jumping on that a fair bit and a few circuits and that, because watt bikes just don't sit well with me, because small man, I'm not that strong.
Oh, I hear
you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you feel
the
me?
Pins, the pins.
Yeah, ultimate battler. Just can't push the thing fast enough. So yeah, I've been struggling.
Yeah, and they always give you targets and stuff, and I don't know if you're anything like me, just so far off the target, you're like, just send me a new target.
It's like row golf, how it's hard as whatever. every time I ever had to do that, I was like, fuck, what's my handicap? Am I off like an 18? Because I'm like nearly double bogeying every single hole.
Yeah, row golf's a shocker too.
Oh, fuck, I hate it, man.
And a little bit of acting you've been doing with your social media. Is that a bit of a pastime? You look pretty comfortable acting.
That's not a pastime. Shit, I've just had that much time on my hands that I was able to take 1,000. That took me a whole day to do. Like,
Yeah.
that many takes. You know, chasing perfection. Like, if you saw my first takes, it was been horrific. But I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Anything for a laugh.
And you're a big Happy Gilmore fan, eh? You're always referencing Happy Gilmore, so it was good to sort of perfect a scene from there.
Yeah, any sort of early Adam Sandler, I'm big on. Sort of Billy Madison, Big Daddy. Your Happy Gilmore is just classic. Like Gareth Evans, and him and I watched. We stayed behind in our first year at uni down in Dunedin. Mid-semester break, everyone goes home, but me and Gareth had to stay because of rugby. So we just sat in our movie room in our hall and watched Happy Gilmore like every single day for 2 weeks.
so no wonder you know all the quotes. Jeez.
Yeah, we just like anything at training. If anything we see has any sort of reference to Happy Gilmore, we'll just bang out a quote to each other. Damien McKenzie too. Big Jim loves Happy Gilmore, so it's nice having someone at the Chiefs in here that I can bounce off to.
Oh, that's good stuff. And let's get to the rugby. How's the All Black camp been? How's the tour to Australia been for you?
It's been good. It was like a nice sort of 6-week holiday, holding a few tackle bags and getting paid. It was all good. But no, it is. I still enjoy myself here. It's great. The lads are bloody good, and we have a lot of fun off the field. Having that bye week certainly helped too. We played a fair bit of golf with the boys, so there's a lot of fun and laughter in amongst a few games.
So obviously not a huge amount of game time, but a couple of sharp cameos off the bench. Do you find that frustrating, or are you pretty? Do you feel quite settled behind the other two?
Like it's hard with those two because they've had such a monopoly on the 9 spot for 7 or 8 years now. I guess it is. So it is hard to break into that when those two have got so much experience. But so like I would love to play. Well, I would love to play a lot more, but I know selection's not. That's not my job. I don't select the team, so I just try and do my best with the opportunities I get, but just focus on my performance, and if I'm good enough to get selected one day, then that'll happen. But I don't worry too much. Tough one.
So what's the relationship between you three like?
It's actually really good. Like Nuggy and I are golf partners while we're on tour, so we get along really well. And then TJ and I have had a lot of history. We've known each other since high school and been battling out for a long time. And him and I both get along bloody well, actually. So it actually works really good. And
that's good, eh? And it must still be a pretty surreal feeling for you coming from where you have to be in the All Blacks. It still sort of must be like a pinch yourself moments now and again, even though you're not probably getting the game time that you probably want. Just to be in the environment still must be a pretty surreal feeling.
Oh fuck yeah! Like, especially from where I came from, and like, I would have never been someone that was touted to ever be an All Black. So I had a bit of luck and a bit of good fortune going my way as well, but worked pretty hard to get there too. So it's nice to have a lot of that stuff sort of pay off.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get to your journey. Let's start at the start. Let's go back to when a very young baby Brad McCormick Webber was born. Take us right back.
Right back. Oh, it was Napier Hospital. I remember it really well.
What's the first thing you saw?
Oh, my dad probably fainting or something, I would say. devastated that his pub just burnt down. But no, born and bred in the Hawke's Bay in Napier. Spent first 18 years of my life there, and Napier boys educated, Napier men, sorry. And that's where me and Gareth met and became pretty cool. We decided to follow each other around the country where we could, really. So yeah, plenty of good times there, man.
Yeah, I bet. And rugby, when did you start your rugby?
Pretty straight away. Like, so Dad and my granddad both played halfback for Hawke's Bay. So
so
I was always, as much as I tried not to be a halfback, I knew eventually it was always going to catch up on me. So I tried everything else. I think I played like 12 at under 15s, and then 15. And then 15. And then 15 at my first 10 and 15 for my first couple of years. First 15, and then my last year, I bit the bullet and went into halfback. But
so were you quite a big guy to be at 12?
No, I wasn't. So for under 15s that year, I think I was because I was young for my year, so I could go down. So I was probably similar size. Well, I wasn't big, but fuck, I used to just like do the classic Anton Leonard-Brown, like get the ball and then step back like 5 times to try and beat everybody. And I wasn't very good, but I played the position.
So that's a late start to go to 9 though. Did you have a good pass and stuff?
Yeah, I always had a pretty good pass. Like I would, while I was playing 15 and 10, like I would cover 9 as well. So I was I'd always practice it anyway. So because deep down I knew, like, if you look at my dad and like all my family, like there was only one position I was ever going to go. So I was just trying to have fun while I could. But.
And were you a bit of a schoolboy star?
Nah, not really. Like I didn't make the New Zealand schools team or anything. I think I made the Hurricane schools in my last year. I was behind TJ.
Yeah.
But we had a good side though. Like no one made New Zealand schools, but we made top 4. We beat a star-studded like round college team to make top 4, who everyone thought they were going to win the whole thing. So we were just a team of absolute battlers that punched above their weight. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Like Ehi West was our 10, so we had a pretty good game driver, and Gareth was at 8, and I was at 9. So we led
what a spine!
Had a bit of fun. Yeah, exactly.
Well, so then how did you go on to making the New Zealand 20s, which was probably the most stacked New Zealand 20s to ever be named, I reckon. How did you go from missing out on these teams to making that team?
So I went down to Dunners to study, and my first year played Otago 19s, and then got made the New Zealand under 20 the big squad that they have for the camps.
Yeah.
And I remember the catch up with the guy. I don't know who it was. Who was like telling me like, "Yep, you're in. There's 4 other halfbacks or whatever," and he was basically telling me that I probably don't have much of a chance because I was the last ranked halfback going into it. And I was like, okay, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then got up there and played really well in all the trials and ended up making the team. So that's basically how it happened. So I was obviously last ranked, and then me and TJ were the 9s that went to the World Cup. And yeah, like you say, stacked team.
Yeah.
Like I think there's like 13 All Blacks or something. Is that the last
13,
time?
yeah, far out. That's crazy.
It's got a long way to getting beaten. Yeah.
Yeah. Who were the other 2 9s you overtook?
Papa Whatuweta, who was New Zealand school. He was the New Zealand schools captain, so he had a lot of pedigree. And then Lucky Palamo, a guy from Counties who was raw and had a lot of talent and ability.
Yeah.
But I think I remember just going to the trials and just like focusing on just getting to the ruck quickly and distributing, and they seemed to really like it. So it's certainly helped ever since too.
So how many times throughout your career have you been told you were too small? It must have happened a fair bit.
Yeah, it's happened like heaps, but particularly I remember 2 professional coaches have said it to me. I won't name their names, but
even at that level, shit.
Yeah, like one at Mitre 10 Cup, and then another in another area. But yeah, they both said that. And I was, to be fair, at the time it might have been true because like the halfbacks then were quite big. Like it was like Jimmy Cowan and Pity Wepu, big guys, you know. So like at the time, that's the sort of halfback they were after. But thank God for like the way the game sort of transitioned, and then when Nuggy made it, that certainly helped my cause. That was the type of mould that a lot of teams were after, and that's sort of when things started happening for me.
Yeah, that's good. And then so you went down to Dunedin, you said, for uni. Got stuck into the club rugby scene down there. How was that?
Oh, mate, honestly, best 4 years of my life was down in Dunedin, just being a student and playing rugby on the side pretty much. And was at the Dunedin Sharks rugby club down there.
Fins Up?
Fantastic. Oh, yeah. So the original Fins Up. And so, but honestly, so many people ask me these days, like, why do you put the Marco fin up? I'm like, mate, the Dunedin club since like the 1800s. So shut your mouth.
Everyone just claims that you're a Marco.
yeah. But man, like the culture out there was so good. Like 1 year we had 5 Colts teams. So every Saturday you're guaranteed to have, you know, like nearly sort of 60, 80 students out there just at the club rooms. So we had a lot of fun. One club championship, and the student lifestyle, man, down there is just like, it's hard to describe because like the city's just so built around the uni. Like, you know, like the city centre is just all the uni area, so everything's walkable. You're guaranteed to find someone that's keen to drink with you on any night if you want to. Like Gareth and I, because Gareth and I lived on Castle Street in second year. Yeah. And fuck, it was just like, it was carnage, man. Like, I remember going into one of my mates' flats at the Beehive, and they just had literally like a bonfire just happening in the middle of the lounge. like not in like a brazier or anything, but just literally something just burning in the middle. Like, this is so fucked. Any lock-in at any flat, like walls would just get taken out. It's just like jibble. Just outrageous, but just some of the best times, man.
How often would you be going out a week? You know, you said that you could twist someone's arm every day of the week. How often would you be going out?
First year, you'd probably be going out. Well, particularly with rugby, it'd be like twice a week. So you'd maybe do like a Thursday and then a Saturday night. Yeah. But Gareth and I tried to be a bit more serious and second year onwards, and only did Saturday nights. But there were certainly blokes I knew. Certainly blokes I knew that did a lot more than twice a week. But one guy that Gareth and I lived with on Castle Street, he was like absolute legend of a bloke. Like in our week, so seven days usually you're going, he just, instead of going and buying a whole heap of beers from the bottle store, he just went and bought himself a keg and just like had it for himself for the week. But one of the nights he forgot to take the pump off, so the next day it just tasted like absolute cat piss. and he had to drink that for the rest of the week.
Oh, did he still go up?
Yeah, he still went it. Like, he's an absolute champion bloke. But as the way his sort of career ended, his uni career, he ended up dropping out and went back home to Hawke's Bay. We knew him from there, and his family owned a lot of orchards. And he's kind of like, well, you know, what am I going to do with my life? Or what do I have an abundance of? A whole heap of apples. What do I love doing? Pissing up. So he's created his own cider company, and it has blown up. Like, it is massive.
Really?
He's absolutely killing it. So it's like, he's not an alcoholic, but just absolutely froths it. And he owns a big cider company in Hawke's Bay now. So
that's awesome.
He's done pretty good.
Do what you love, eh? Love what you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, how did you get into the rugby scene down there then? Obviously, playing club rugby must have been playing well. So then did you get a taste of the Otago NPC side?
Yeah, so 2012, had a pretty good club season with the Sharks and made the Otago squad that year. I think I only played 9 games, all off the bench, and didn't get a hell of a lot of minutes, but it was a good introduction to the stuff. Femur Tanaka was the 9. Brownie had brought him over from Japan, and he's clearly pretty sharp. So
smaller than you, though.
Yeah, a lot smaller. Yeah, but inspiring.
Yeah.
And talking about lads, like the ultimate Japanese lad, like on the piss, it's just outrageous. Some of the stuff he does is just could hardly speak a lick of English when he was sober, but shit, once he had his few beers, he's almost fluent.
Well, that's good stuff.
Yeah. So, not too many opportunities, and I actually got dropped the next year, so it was a roller coaster ride down in Dunners. But
yeah, so how'd you get dropped? Talk me through that.
So the first sort of half of the club season in 2013, I wasn't going that good, and there's a young kid out of Otago Boys who was pretty sharp, had a lot of reps on him, Josh Renton. So he was his first year out of school, and I remember I got brought into the office at Otago halfway through with Brownie and Phil Young, the coaches at the time, and I was like, oh fuck, maybe they're offering me a contract for the year. Nah, it was the opposite way. They told me that they're releasing me from the Otago training squad, and I was like, fuck, it's shit, okay, like. But to be fair, at the time, like, it was the kick up the arse that I needed. Like, I wasn't really working that hard on my core skills outside of actual team training. Like, I was just doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Thinking that, like, just by getting older, I'd get better. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that they sort of made me realize that what I was doing wasn't enough. So after that, I started like massively smashing my core skills. And back after that club season, I was like, it was the best club season I'd had. Like, I think I was club player of the year, at least for the Sharks anyway. And we won the club comp, but I still wasn't good enough to make the final squad. So Josh and Fumiaki were the 9s that year. So I just played a couple of games of Otago B, and I was just thinking, yeah, sweet, I'll just see out my degree and then see what happens. But then I got a call from Tom Coventry, and he was the assistant coach at the Chiefs at the time, and he was like, oh, with Brendan Leonard's leaving, he's going overseas, so we've got a spot for our third halfback. I was like, well, I was sitting in the library in Otago Uni. I was like, I've been dropped from the Otago team, Tom. I'm like, how are you guys going to get me to? How are you guys going to watch me? And he was like, oh, if we can, maybe sort something out, would you be willing to move? And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, if I get an opportunity. And a couple of days later, Waikato coach rang me up and asked me to move up there. So I did, and I've been in Hamilton ever since.
So the Chiefs actually got you a NPC gig?
Them and Trent Renata, the party starter, definitely, because I'd played that club. So I played that club, so I played that club season that year with Trent at the Sharks because he was with the Landers, and he was released all the time to play with us. So I played a lot with him that year, and he and because I played so well, he went to the Waikato coach because he was playing for Waikato at the time, and was like, you need to bring this guy up, like he's good. He's missed out on the Otago team. So then when the Chiefs then said the same, he was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So I owe a lot to Trent.
Yeah, the party starter. Career starter.
He started my career. So and that's what, and like first week, I think I come off the bench against Southland, and then the week after, they gave me a start against Auckland. We won the game, and I just had like the game of my life. I think I was marking against Piti Wepu and scored 2 tries, and like I was just like, fuck's just happened. Like I just and then Dave Rennie was round at my house the very next day, offered me a Chiefs contract. So like within 2 weeks, I'd gone from just sitting in the library being a student playing Otago B, and then getting a Chiefs contract. I was just like, fuck, this is just unbelievable. So
that's mad, eh?
Yeah.
And Dave Rennie actually came round to your house.
Yep. I was staying at Kid Louie's house at Robbie Robinson's place. Yeah. With Braden Mitchell, the scratcher.
Oh, scratcher!
A great man, absolute great man. But like, but we had some fun. And yeah, Ren's literally he rang me that morning was like, where do you live? And I told him, and then he turned up like an hour later.
Far out. Unreal.
Yeah.
So then how was it going into that Chiefs team?
Fuck, it was way better than I expected, because when I was going in, I was like, right, Liam Messam, Aaron Cruden, Tanito Latimer, all these guys, I was like, fuck, I'm not going to say anything. Like, I'm just going to keep my head down. But as soon as I walked in, they all like made me feel real comfortable. I remember Liam Messam was like, basically, that's one of the first things he said to me is like, you got a chance to be my new favorite white boy, I reckon. I was like, yo. So I think he just watched like the Waikato stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like my first day. Like a little kid, like a little third former with a seventh former talking to him. So
did you become it? Did you become his favorite white boy?
Well, I think behind the beaver, maybe. I reckon I might be right up there.
You take that second.
Well, because I reckon the reason why I maybe got over the line, and I remind him of this quite often, is that when you play your first game for the Chiefs, you do 3 Waikato drafts after the game, and I debuted the same game as James Lowe.
Oh.
And in the team room afterwards, we were doing our 3 beers, and before we did it, Liam was like, we'll risk the first 2 and you'll be my favourite white boy. So I did. And then as I'm doing the third one, J-Lo's like spewing in the bucket, and I just spewed all over J-Lo. The lads just loved it, like big raw.
J-Lo would have been filthy.
He was devastated. I just ruined his night. So yeah, I think I might have just snuck in with that. Though.
And did you get many games that first year?
No, I think I only played. I think I played like 7 games all off the bench, just when Tawera or Augustine weren't available. So those 2 were the mainstays, and they're pretty good. I think Augie made his All Black debut at the end of your tour, so behind 2 All Blacks at the time. But that was cool, man. Yeah, I think I knew then that like I'd found like my team, like the place that I wanted to be. Like everywhere else just didn't, like, with all due respect to Otago, like it just wasn't, like the team just didn't suit my style of play. Like, Brownie really knew what he wanted in his 9s. He wanted guys that just passed and kicked really well, whereas I was at the time probably more of a running 9. And the Chiefs suited me in that area.
It's good, eh? And then going back to the Waikato side, did you become captain that following year?
Yeah, so it's one thing that I was, at the time, I think I was 23, and I'd only played 7 games for Waikato, and then Johnny Walters asked me to be the captain, and I was like, I wasn't too keen, because he cleared out a lot of the senior guys, like guys that I really liked and respected, including Trent, which really kind of hurt me actually, because Trent was part of the reason that I got up to Waikato, and then for him to get rid of him like that, I really didn't like. But when I looked around the squad, it was just a whole bunch of babies really. So I accepted the job, and led like pretty much an under 21s team.
Yeah, talented group though. It was a real talented group, but real raw. And I remember playing them a couple of times. How did you guys go that season?
I think we didn't get relegated, so that was a success for a lot of us. Because if you look back at the squad now, like unreal. It's like Damien at 10, Anton, Sean Stevenson, Fetu Douglas, like all these awesome players. But at the time, we're just babies, like 18, 19. So we got taught a lesson. I think we might have played you guys maybe second round. You guys, Tasman, you might have been at the neck at the time potentially. And you guys gave us a bit of a toweling up. So that was a real reality check for a lot of our boys.
And how'd you find it as captain?
It was pretty eye-opening. Like I learnt a lot on some of the senior guys, like Josh Honick and guys like that, just to help out, because wouldn't say I'm like a natural. Like I enjoy public speaking and that, but in terms of like around the team, like I don't like to talk for the sake of it. Like I only really like to speak when I feel like I've got something decent to say. And I was still only 23 and not exactly experienced, so it was definitely a team effort. And then I just sort of ran the ball out on Saturday.
Ran the ball out and did the media.
Yeah,
you were good at both, though.
I don't mind talking shit to the media, so that definitely suited me.
So then you ended up getting an All Black debut down the line. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so on the India tour in 2014, Tawada tore his ACL. So from then I knew I was going to get more game time with the Chiefs. It was just me and Augie. So ended up playing a fair bit. I think I shared a sort of similar amount of starts as Augie, and one thing led to another, and then I got named in the squad to play that test against Samoa over there. And like at that time, I was just like, "Fuck, what's going on?" Like, actually, I remember getting the call from Shandy. We'd lost to the Highlanders, I think, in the quarterfinal that weekend, and we were on the source somewhere. And Shandy was like, "Oh, you're going to be brought into the All Blacks team for the squad against Samoa." I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And I must have sounded hammered. He's like, "So it might be a good idea to put the beers down and ready for camp." So I was like, "Yeah, righto." Put it down, told the boys, and just charged on. I had to celebrate.
Were you expecting it at all, or did that come completely out of the blue?
There'd been kind of like whispers about it that I was sort of in the running, but the squad had been named, and it was Tawada, TJ, and Aaron, and then like Andy Ellis was still around, and so I was like, it's a World Cup year, so they're not going to take a chance on a 24-year-old who hasn't played. So I didn't think that year was going to be it, but then when things all started happening and I got the call up, I was like, "Fuck, this is unreal, man!" Like that would have been like 2 years from getting dropped from Otago to playing for the All Blacks. It was like
crazy.
I was just had to like punch myself. I was like, "Fuck, this is unbelievable."
Inspirational. And you pretty much put that down to just changing your habits, working harder outside of training and things like that. Is that what you'd put it down to?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I had zero work ethic outside of training when I was with the Otago team, and Brownie helped me realise that. So while he dropped me from the squad, I actually owe him a lot, because he sort of helped change my mindset, along with a couple other guys that helped me out once that happened. So definitely just changed my mindset to my craft, and started working a little bit harder and doing more on my own rather than just relying on coaches and set training times, really. Because that's what I realised, that's what I needed to do if I wanted to be a professional.
Inspiring stuff. So then let's go to your All Black debut. It must have been pretty daunting going into that squad. I mean, it was a pretty stacked side, World Cup year. Talk me through that. Yeah,
it was pretty daunting. I won't lie. Like walking into my first meeting, and like Richie and Dan and all those guys were all there. I'm like, and I'm just this. Still at the time, I'm thinking like I'm just like the Scarfy, like this imposter, who just managed to make his way in here. But I was real keen to like just enjoy it, and like for what it was. I remember I roomed with Dan in Auckland, and that was pretty cool. Like for me, just to chat to him around all the stuff around the game plan, and just chat in general. So that was cool. But the actual debut, I remember it was like nearly 100% humidity and 34 degrees. It was that, like, didn't even need to warm up. I was sitting on the bench just sweating. Got like got the last sort of 16 or 17 minutes or something, and was absolutely blowing at the end too. Like I'm pretty sure I missed like the last 2 rucks because I was just that fucked. So probably wasn't a good audition, but I made the debut, and Dad came over for it. Him and his brother came over for it, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And how'd you go at the haka? Because you've got a bit of Māori in you, which a lot of people don't realise, but you're one of the only All Black Nines who hasn't led the haka at the moment. So, any plans? And how was your first one?
My first one was all right. I don't think I stuffed it up, but I'm pretty sure I didn't really like belt out too many of the words because I was just so focused on the actions, like not stuffing it up. So. But I'm much better now. Like I tell you, like having a few years with the Māori All Blacks makes a big difference on your haka. Like you're forced to learn and get pretty good, and that haka is pretty cool. So you definitely get better. But nah, I actually had a little bit of an idea for the All Black stuff I was going to do, but I didn't end up doing it. I could do it in another year, but I was thinking like having like a microphone attached to me and like someone in the distance like following along with the camera, and me going up to like Sam Kane and like TJ, maybe Fozzie, and be like, oh look, I've been putting a lot of thought into it and I'm like really keen to lead the haka, like just want to know what the thoughts are, and just have like a hidden camera and like a microphone and see what their reactions are.
Oh, that sounds good. Sounds like a good water lad prank. Maybe you should call him and record it for me.
Yeah. I'll give you the exclusive access, exclusive content. So I'll think about, because there was a lot of people were actually asking me when I think it was the Argentina game, when there was like TJ wasn't in the match day 23, and like, who's going to lead the haka? Like, Webby, you might be a chance. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah, seem like pook on it. But nah, I'll just stick to the middle of the pack.
Yeah, fair enough. And then after that test, was that you just played the one test, was it?
Yeah. So after that, Nug and TJ were joining the squad, so I dropped down and played a game for the Māoris, and then went back to Waikato for my last season with them, and that was a good season, very good.
What happened?
So a similar team, like all the same lads, and then actually Beaver came back from Japan.
Oh.
And at the time, I remember our coach brought me into the office and I was like, fuck, what have I done? Like, did I do something? And he's just like, oh, I just want to let you know that that Stephen Donald's reached out and he's going to come back from Japan and join the squad. And I remember just bursting out laughing. I was like, what the fuck? Because at the time, Beaver was like, the god.
Yeah, the movie star.
Yeah, the kick had just came out, and like, I was like, oh, and we were just all these young fellas, and then all of a sudden the Beav comes back. It's like, this is awesome. But he was great. Like, he was so good for Damien, especially, and a few other blokes, and we had a hell of a time with him. And then our last game, we'd been up and down, had a few good wins, a couple of horrific losses, and then our last game of the season was against Hawke's Bay, who had the Shield, and they'd had it for like nearly 2 years. So they're a real strong squad, good experience, super rugby experience everywhere, and we're just all this bunch of young kids.
Yeah.
And I remember we had this, because we were going so shit, we had this like team meeting on like the Monday or whatever, and one of our coaches was like showing clips of the Hawke's Bay team. He's like, look how good they are. Like, look, like they do this and this, and we're sitting there going, like, we're playing these guys this week. You're not exactly giving us a bit of confidence. And like, we had almost like these heart-to-hearts around our game plan and stuff. Like, a few guys like came at each other, and we were sort of just like, right, fuck it. This week we can basically just do whatever you want. Like, guys, go where you want, just play what's in front of you. And I remember Josh Honick was like, so you're saying that I can go and sit at first receiver if I want to? And we're just like, yep, do it. And in the game, he sat at first receiver. He broke through and scored a try from like 30 out. No shit, you're not. Check out the highlights. It's on there.
Oh, that's good stuff.
And so And then we just played like the game of our lives. Like Anton and Damien just carved up, and I managed to score a second half hat trick. And
oh, no doubt,
and we,
skipper.
yeah, and we won the Shield. And because it was the last game of the season, and we'd missed the semis, we just won the Shield. We just had the biggest week of our lives.
Oh,
back to Beaver's place.
Party at Beaver's. Oh,
yeah.
One of the greats.
We were just like, mind blowing. Like we were all these kids, and then turning up to Beaver's place to have a beer. But then you like you sort of realize that Beaver's just like he's one of the lads, like just legend of a bloke. Like
yeah.
What happened, like, you know, the whole success story couldn't have happened to a better bloke, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
So good. And did you sign with Hawke's Bay at this stage, or was it after this?
Yeah. Nah, so I'd actually already signed with them, like, before the season had even started. So,
oh, true.
Yeah, because, like I was saying to you earlier, Dad and Granddad both played halfback for Hawke's Bay. I'd always really wanted to be a Magpie, and Gareth and Ehi were back there as well. So, it was just the time was right. Like I felt like I'd done enough for Waikato to pay back their faith for bringing me up from Otago, and then it was just time to go home. So yeah, so but going into that game, I knew that I was going there next year, but I wouldn't fucking change it for the world. But winning the Shield is like just like you know, it's just nothing quite like it. And I still every promo I ever go to in Hawke's Bay, someone always asks, like, why did you take the Shield off us? I was like, I have no idea what the piss-up was like afterwards. It's so worth it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And then how'd you find going to Hawke's Bay, going back home?
Nah, it was great. Like, going back to Hawke's Bay, especially for the time that Mitre 10 Cups played in, it's like going on holiday because it's sunny, it's mild weather, like it's not cold like everywhere else. It doesn't rain a hell of a lot, so it's just to play a bit of footy, especially after a long super season. It's really refreshing, and it's nice being home around some of my old mates and seeing a lot of the people that I left behind, I guess. But getting to play with all my schoolmates and stuff is pretty cool. So, and at the moment they're playing unbelievably well, so it's cool to see a lot of those young kids, homegrown kids too, playing well for the Bay.
Pretty good 9 there too now too, eh?
Fuck yeah, he is playing really good, Falau. He's a funny little bugger. Like he was green for a while. Like you could always tell he had like the raw ability, the speed, the strength, and everything. It was just about putting the game management together. And now he's really starting to get it. And he's wouldn't surprise me to see him in the All Blacks pretty soon.
Sure, big reps.
Mm-hmm.
So then later on, your career hit a bit of a crossroad, not a crossroad, but hit a bit of a block when you broke your femur. Do you want to talk about that moment?
Yeah, so that was start of 2017 at that pre-season 10s tournament in Brisbane.
Yeah.
It was like 42 degrees. We're playing in the final. And I actually haven't rewatched it, but from what I remember, I had my leg trapped by someone and I was trying to offload the ball or something, and then I just got hit from another way, and my femur just went split like that. It was not flash, but at the time, like so many people like, fuck, that must have hurt. Apparently it's like the strongest bone in your body, and but I didn't really feel anything. Like it was just shock, like everything was numb, and I couldn't really tell them what I'd done. Like I sort of thought that my neck, I might have done my knee or something, because the numbness was kind of down in that area. But I looked down and like my ankle was like lying like that. So my leg was like that, but my ankle was falling away, and I was like, that's weird. I don't have any pain down there. So I was like, oh, maybe I've dislocated my knee or something. But turns out when you split your femur, like your lower leg is obviously not attached to anything, so it just like falls. So they stretched me off, and because I told them that I think it was my knee, they were like doing all these tests on my knee and stuff, like medial, everything. And then to do the ACL, they obviously they like pull the tibia away to see it. And in doing so, they pulled my whole lower leg away.
Oh, wow, right.
And I remember just feeling it and just been like, whoa, like fucking don't do that. Like, and so the guy was like, oh, I think you've done your ACL in your knee. And I was like, fuck. And it was 9 months. So get to the, they put me on a wheelchair. I watched the rest of the final. In that time, Mitch Graham's broken his tib and fib like that. So he's got a stretcher. He's had the green whistle and he's like dabbing as he's going off. I don't know if you're fucking brilliant. And so he got the ambulance to the hospital. Yeah. There was no ambulance left, so they're like, right, we need to get you to the hospital. So they put me in the front of this car and like put my ass in first, wiggle me around, and like my leg is just too long, which doesn't often happen for me, but just too long to fit right in. So they have to like move my leg up again. And by this stage, the adrenaline's were worn off, the shock's worn off, and like that's when the pain just like screaming through. Like I was just losing it. They gave me a green whistle because I was like smashing that on the car to the hospital, but it did nothing. Like I was still in pain. Had the MRI. They checked my knee and they're like, nah, it's sweet. They come over last week and it's all good. I was like, right, my thigh is like killing me. Like, you might want to check that. So they did, and they're like, fuck, you've fractured your femur. We need to get you into surgery like right now.
Wow.
So, pretty much emergency surgery. Like the match doctor who like did the testing on my knee was like mortified that he did what he did while I had a broken femur, like, because obviously there's like the femoral artery that runs alongside it. Like he could have so easily just like nipped it and I would have bled out in minutes. So very, very, very lucky that it didn't end up that way.
That's rookie move from the doctor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll still get arseholes about that even to this day. Yeah.
So what's
actually,
go.
So, no, actually, because we played that game at Suncorp against Australia recently, and I caught up with my surgeon there, which was quite cool to see. And he even mentioned it, and he was just like, "I still can't believe you fucking did that." Like, it's still like, yeah.
So, what's the rehab like for a broken femur? Are you in the cast, and how long's the whole process?
Yeah, so funnily enough, it was better than doing an ACL.
Oh,
essentially. Really? So what they do is that, and I was in no cast. I was up, not walking, but like on a walking, not a wheelchair, but almost like crutches the very next day. Yeah. So what they do is they like drill into the top of your femur, and then like hammer down a big titanium rod right down the length of it. Yeah. two screws at the end. So all I've got from it is like two little scars, like about that big, for a broken femur. So I've still got the rod in there at the moment, and because the bone heals, like when it went over the break, it like heals bigger. So like the bone's actually stronger. It comes back stronger. So doing a femur is actually better than doing an ACL, funnily enough. But and they told me 6 months and you'll be back playing. So I was like, fucking hell, like I would have thought, a year maybe for something like that. But no, the surgeon was like real positive. He's like, no, you'll be sweet. He's pretty blasé actually. He's a bloody good bugger. But he's like, no, you'll be sweet. 6 months and you'll be back. And so it was like, I think it was 6 weeks on crutches, and then I could start walking a little bit better with more weight bearing, and that was what it was all about, trying to get the weight bearing back. And then I think I ended up taking an extra month just to be sure, so I took 7 months and I was back playing. So
And what was your confidence like? Did you feel confident around it, or?
Yeah, by that stage I did, and I had like a few tackles on it and like got tackled and stuff. And the first one of that was always was what I was most worried about. But then when I thought about it, I was like, fuck, I've got a metal rod down the length of my leg. Like, there's no way that thing's going to break. so that gave me all the confidence in the world, to tell you the truth. And then, I was sweet. Once I got the first game under the belt, I was good. I did have a little bit of issues, like the screw that's holding it in at the top was like sticking out like just a little bit too far, and like my tendon around my hip was like rubbing over it a bit too much. Every time I ran, that would give me a bit of pain, but I just got that ripped out, and I walked out of the hospital with that day. I was like, and felt sweet. So it probably took me probably 2 years until I felt back to myself. Like the whole of 2018, while I was back playing, I just still wasn't quite myself yet.
Yeah.
Like strength and speed and stuff. And then, so I reckon 2 years for a leg break to fully feel normal again. So start of 2019 was when I felt myself again.
In 2019, you came into absolute red hot form, started pretty much all the game for the Chiefs and worked your way into the Rugby World Cup squad with the All Blacks. So how was that year for you?
Yeah, that was an interesting year because I took myself, I pulled out of the Māori All Black squad at the end of 2018 to go home a bit earlier so I could do the full pre-season with the Chiefs, and just because in my mind I was like, right, 2019 is my last year of giving the AVs a crack. If I don't make it, then I'm going to go overseas.
Yeah. And
so I was like, right, I'm going to go do a full pre-season, get as fit as I can get, and just give it my best nudge. That was at the start, and then once the season came around, I was like, actually, you know what? Like, I don't really. Not that I don't care, but like I put it out of my mind around making the All Blacks. I was kind of like, well, I could play the best rugby. I could be the best player in Super Rugby this year and still not make the All Blacks, and like I'd be really at peace with that. Like I knew that I'd done all I could.
Yeah.
Up until that point, so I was in a really good place mentally around not worrying about the AV stuff and just wanted to have fun with the boys because I knew that maybe that could be my last year. So I was like, fuck, I'm just going to have some fun, enjoy it. And we started off real shit. We were horrific. We lost our first 5 games. Everyone was like writing us off. I was like, oh God, it's going to be one of those years.
Yeah.
And then we just turned it around and ended up making the playoffs and having a really good season. And then, I was lucky enough to get my name read out for the ABs that year. It was funny how it all sort of worked out.
Sure. And did you just find out from the TV like everyone else?
Yeah, so I had no idea. So I was, I knew my parents would just be like nervous wrecks, so I didn't bother going home to watch it with them. So I just stayed in my house in Hamilton with my 2 flatmates at the time, Abby and Bex, the 2 girls, and we were listening along, and like my heart was racing, man. I've never felt, and then heard the name get read out, and like my 2 flatmates just lost it, like screaming and everything, jumping all over me. It was quite nice, actually. So that's how I found out. Just like everyone else, it's quite a cool way of doing it, I reckon, rather than
getting the phone call on the diesel.
Yeah.
Go around and see your hot flatmates and
exactly. Fuck, 2 of the best ways.
And then how was the Rugby World Cup for you?
I loved it. Like Japan, great place. Man, I could, like, if I was going to play overseas, that's somewhere I'd like to go. And we didn't win the whole thing, which was a shame and cost us a lot of money too and bonuses, but it's what it is. And but it was fun, man. I loved it. I'd do it all again. It was a cool experience and getting to play, and I was playing some of my best rugby at the World Cup as well as in Super Rugby that year, so I had a fair bit of fun. Cool.
Yeah, you got a fair amount of time in that World Cup, didn't you?
Yeah, I played against the 2 minnows. I played against Canada and Namibia, but come on at halftime against Canada and scored a couple of tries, and linked up with TJ in that Namibia game for that
try of the year,
which was pretty cool. Like I think we might have been rooming together that year, and that week, and when we got home, we were just like, what the fuck were we doing? That was just outrageous.
So good. And then what about the disappointment after the England game? Must have been. How was the team and how were you?
Yeah, I was I was gutted, man, but I was I was devastated for the boys and for myself, but I didn't really feel it fully until we got back into the change rooms and all the lads had come back in and sat down, and you could just see on the faces of some of the guys, especially the guys whose last go it was, like who were leaving that year, they were just devastated. And that's when I felt for them more than I felt for myself, like, because obviously I didn't play the game, so all my influence was through the week trying to get the boys ready. But just real gutted for them. Like, because I remember 2007 and being so devastated, and then obviously the country hadn't even felt that since then. So to be in the changing room and seeing the raw emotion from some of those guys was it's pretty gutting for them. Yeah,
for sure. And now this year, massive year for the Chiefs. Squads have just come out. Your team's looking pretty strong. Feeling confident?
Yeah, I am. I think obviously we were horrific last year. But we've got a lot of continuity. Like, not too many blokes have left, and a lot of those young guys that got thrown in the deep end last year are another year older, another year wiser, and so I've got a lot of confidence this year. I think we'll surprise a lot of people.
Right up there. Heard it here first.
Including you Hurricanes boys, I reckon.
And then what's your plans going forward? Have you got much of a plan laid out? You mentioned potentially heading over to Japan at some point, but what's your current status?
So I'm contracted for one more year, and I'll just weigh up and see. I think I won't have to make a call for a few months, and obviously with TJ in Japan this year, he'll be back to be available for the All Blacks, but it certainly gives me a little bit of a chance to try and play well and maybe push him and Nuggie a bit more than I have. But at the same time, like, if a good offer from Japan or something comes along, I might well take it. I'm 30 in January, so like, I don't feel old. Like, I still feel like I've got heaps left.
Yeah.
So I really don't want to leave while I'm playing my best rugby. But at the same time, if an offer that's too good to turn down comes along, it's going to be hard to sort of say no to. So we'll just wait and see. But yeah, either way, I'll try and have a bit of fun with the lads this year, on the off chance that it might be my last. But
how much are you after? I know TJ got his contract through the Waterlad podcast. He said that he was after a Bodie contract from Japan. What are you after?
A Bodie contract? Shit. What? No, but I don't think I can quite demand that. But if I'm at like sort of 3/4 of that, I'd be pretty happy.
All right, we'll make that happen.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, what a lad. You're a lad. Really.
Oh, what a journey. Shit, that's good to hear. Good to hear your story.
Sorry, it's quite long, isn't it?
No, it isn't. Now we're into. Now we've got the good part, the questions. A lot of people have jumped at the chance to ask Brad Webber a question. So I'll go to the Instagram page and read out some of your questions. Okay, first question. What is your dream career after rugby?
Oh, my dream career after rugby would be running almost like a Matty Johns show type TV show. That would be quite cool. Linking up with a few. Actually, in fact, Jimmy Marr, you'd be probably quite good on a show like that. Might have to throw you in there with the likes of Angus Tartavale and just let the creative juices flow. Like, let them go and do some like creative stuff. Maybe I'm doing a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll be the facilitator. I don't know, like keeping you and keeping us just in check a little bit.
What a lad media.
Exactly, but I'd like it to be a bit more borderline than the current rugby shows that are out there. I think like, there's obviously a place for seriousness and stuff, but I like the borderline humour that Matty Johns and stuff bring.
Yeah,
I reckon New Zealand needs a bit of that.
Oh, couldn't agree
more.
That's my dream. Yeah, love the dream. Okay, next question. Are you still hitting Mass Freak?
The mutant mass. So I'm not mutant mass itself, but I am on on the shakes that the Chiefs give us, I'm on like the big suckers, the big 1,000-calorie type ones. But honestly, I just need that just to maintain my weight. Because if I don't, I'll just drop it off.
So what's mutant mass? What is it?
So mutant mass was like, so it was the protein, like this big ass protein bag that I got in my first year at uni. Because I was only like, I don't know how heavy I was. I must have only been like 60 kilos or something.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to put on weight so I could, because I'd been told I was too small and stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to have to put on some weight. So I bought this big mutant mass, and it's just like thick, like seriously thick shakes that you'd make up to try and just put on mass. And it didn't work. But I bought it. I bought it anyway.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Okay.
Okay, your granddad was a local legend. What rugby advice did he give you?
I wouldn't say he gave me a lot of advice, but he would often ring me up. He was brutal in his reviews of any of my games. Like he'd ring me up like most weeks, and he'd always start off with the good stuff. He's quite good. He would start off with the good stuff. He'd be like, "Oh, your passing was good today." Like, yeah, like I knew where it was going. He'd be like, "Yeah, this was okay," and he'd be like, "But your tackling was shit. It was horrific. Like, you need to sort out. You be doing this and that." And I was like, "Oh, I'll just be on the end of the phone going, yeah, okay." And this was like a classic granddad. So he came to he came to one of my last games for Waikato. The first year when I got brought up, we played against Bay of Plenty, and he came up to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And at the aftermatch, I was talking to someone, and I looked over, and he's talking to Toby Smith, the big prop, and he was telling him how he should be scrumming. And my granddad was like a little halfback. He was tiny, but he was like going on. He was like, "You should be doing this and this, like bind." And I just saw Toby like this going, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" I had to come over and be like, "Oh, look, I'm sorry, it's my granddad." Poor old Toby Smith was just absolutely told. They probably gave better advice to other blokes than he did to me. It was probably down to that question.
Oh, that's classic. Who's the fastest scrum half in the team? All Blacks.
Yeah, it'd be me.
Yeah. Have you got TJ?
Fuck yeah. I know how competitive he is, and he'll say that he is, but deep down, TJ knows. He definitely. And poor Nug, he bless his soul, he tries to run as fast as he can, but I think he knows his limitations in that area.
Okay. How'd you get into the Otago Academy?
I actually think I had to write an application for it. I'm pretty sure Gareth and I were at high school, and we had to literally write an application. And we used to, so we got in, I was stoked, like my application was given, and we lived in Unicole, the first year, big building at uni for first years, and the academy training base was maybe a K down the road, so down a little bit of a slight gradient down towards the University Oval.
Yeah.
And so, because trainings would start at like 6 a.m, before uni classes and stuff. But I remember in O week, so Gareth and I went and bought a BMX together. We went halves in it, and it had like the back pegs. So we would dub each other down. Like, so one time, like, I would ride the bike, and he'd be on my back. So it would be comical seeing like this little guy on this bike, massive gorilla, upholding it. So that would have been quite funny. But we used to remember in O week we would go and buy, like, do you remember Bigfoots, the drink from?
Oh yeah.
Like a scrumpy, but like better flavour. So we would go and buy them the day before, knowing that we've got academy training in the morning. We'd have academy, bike down with our Bigfoots, throw the Bigfoots in a bush just by the academy thing, do our training, come out, and then like we'd walk back and just crack over with our Bigfoots and just get on the piss for the day, because we knew everyone else was starting real early for like something. It's a terrible professionalism. We're just like, instead of having a protein shake, we're having just
Bigfoot.
Terrible. But that was the lifestyle down there, so it's good stuff.
And your first car, how'd you buy your first car and where'd you leave it?
So that guy that I was telling you about earlier, the cider company.
Yeah.
Him and I in our second year, we found on Trade Me, it was like this old Ford Fairmont ute from like the 50s. It was epic. It was like yellow with this there's like green stripe down the side, bench seat. It was awesome. We bought it for $1,000 for 500 each.
Yeah.
We went up to Oamaru to grab it and brought it back. And it was an absolute piece of shit. I remember we were driving around, got pulled over by the cops. They had no warrant for like ages, no registration.
Yeah.
So the guy was quite understanding. And he was just like, right, I'll give you 30 days to get the warrant, and that'll be all good. So we went and sent it to the warrant fitness station. It failed fucking just about everything. But we loved it. So we tried to fix it and tried to like get it roadworthy. And then I was driving it out to the Sharks for training, and it just like fucked out. Like the clutch blew out. Like it was just gone. And so I literally just like drove it to the side of the road, just parked it there, walked the rest of the way to training, and then just left it there. And then I don't know what's happened to it since.
It's still there.
Well, I had one of my mates pulled up into a gas station and saw it on the back of a tow truck. So someone had gone and got it towed. Must have just taken it to the scrap yard and never to be seen again.
Oh, that's good stuff.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, advice you'd give a young guy in the same position you were in Otago without a pro contract?
I'd say definitely do more work outside of your rugby trainings, and do, particularly on your passing and kicking, just smash your skills. But also don't forget to have a good life balance. Still have Dunedin's a place to have fun, so don't let that take over from being a student and having a good time with the lads, because I think that balance is important, especially in a place like that. Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel very lucky because I've been able to basically live two lives. Like, I got to be a student and be normal, and get to have all these fun times with my mates that aren't rugby players down there, and then become a professional rugby player. So I've been able to have the best of both worlds. Whereas kids these days, you know how they just come straight out of high school, straight into like super rugby. It's like it's like great for them. Like, it's cool, but they don't get to experience being a young adult, being a kid, and having a bit of fun. So yeah, I feel very lucky that
and you certainly had some fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Have you ever contemplated a career in acting or voiceovers?
No, I have not. But if someone wants to employ me in that area, then I could be very interested. Seen through what you're talking about, who was asking that question.
Okay.
I love how my videos just had a real good effect on a lot of people. This might have been a springboard for life after footy, potentially, all down to one vid.
It's crazy, when you like actually put yourself out there and do something, or like be yourself, like who you actually are in front of people. Amazing what opportunities can come, especially when you've got a status like you do in the All Black side. I just think there needs to be so much more of it. So many guys are too scared to put themselves out there, and they're missing out on opportunities like this. Look, you could be a professional actor next year.
Exactly. But that's the thing. We know how good lads' personalities are in our rugby teams. That's why we love it. We're just so programmed to be robots with the media and stuff. So it is encouraging to see probably a little bit more, especially with like stuff like this, Jimmy, like having podcasts and that. Like, feel way more comfortable being yourself around people like you than you do with some bloke with from Stuff or New Zealand Herald who you don't know who's really going to have your best intentions. Like most of them do, the vast majority do, but some don't. And when you get caught out like that, that's why you go into your shell. So that's why I loved like Sam coming out around saying like punters don't know what goes on into the 80 minutes through the week, because it's good stuff. Yeah,
and he copped heaps for that, but so unnecessary. Like no one, not even like I don't know. I play professional rugby. I've also done a bit of coaching in professional rugby. I don't know what's going on in the All Black camp at the moment. I don't know the details that you guys are going through. And to think that people at the pubs know this sort of extent is just crazy that guys are going to debate that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like some people are just so hurt that Sam said that, but they're only hurt because it's true.
Oh, it's good stuff. Would Brad take a punt from Ben Tamiafuna if it meant Ben Stokes was caught in the Cricket World Cup?
Absolutely. I'd take it 10 times over.
Oh.
I was heartbroken by that. Still can't get over it.
Yeah.
Fuck. You just want to see a Cricket World Cup victory in your lifetime, eh? And like, you just hope that wasn't our... I'm sure it won't be our only opportunity, but...
Some game.
Oh. I was there at the... Were you... I wonder if you... We were for the Cricket World Cup semi-final in Auckland?
No, I was in Japan.
Tojo might have been there potentially. I was with Whopper. Anyway,
would have been Tojo. Can of Hope. You probably just finished Can of Hope.
Yeah, that was probably just the warm-up. That would have been the warm-up for Tojo. Like, I would have been in bed. Still probably the greatest piss drinker I've played with, your brother, I reckon.
Is he?
He's right up there. Fuck.
Well, he's second in the family. No, he does go good.
You go on the session. Yeah, he does good. But I was there at that semi-final, and it was like seeing Grant Elliott hit that six was honestly quite possibly the greatest feeling I've had in my life. Like, it's right up there with when we won the Shield, like that same feeling of just like utter elation.
That was some moment, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll crack on. Has he ever sponsored a radio show?
Not officially, but unofficially, I sponsored Head, Heart and Balls from the TAB while Staffy and Ant was going. Like, it was just a running gag. Like they would somehow mention me in every single show and just like call me like sponsor, like that I'd paid to get mentioned.
Because of your poor gambling, or
yeah. Exactly. That's why I had to give up the punt.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Hardest player to tackle?
Oh, I reckon Waisaki Naholo was always the hardest for me, because like I remember just getting full thrown off him in a game against him in Dunedin when it might have been 2015 year, but like he's a guy like you can't give him the outside because he'll just run around you.
Yeah.
But then when you get too far in front of him, you think he's going to step you and you're ready for that. And then all of a sudden he just full Fiji and fends you and just bunts you off. Like there's just no way to win. And he was just right. He was made of concrete. Like, fast and strong. So yeah, just a hard man. So yeah, he was always tough for me. I was happy when I saw him go to Europe.
Your granddad wouldn't have been too happy with that tackle attempt either, would he?
Yeah, that's probably what sent granddad over the edge, to be honest. That's probably... Rest in peace, my mate. I feel a bit bad. I shouldn't joke about that.
I felt guilty for laughing.
Yeah. I'm sure he's laughing up there with us.
Yeah, he's a good man. If you had to share a room with someone, Who would be the worst? This is an ISO. If you had to share your room in ISO, who would be the worst All Black to have to share your room with?
Worst All Black?
Yeah, currently.
Current All Black. Ooh. Probably. I've heard stories about Nepo Laulala. Apparently, he loves like having the room like freezing cold, so like as low as the air conditioning goes. Like apparently, he likes it freezing, and like I'm not about that. I'm good room temperature. You know, I'm sort of the 22s, 21 degrees.
Yeah,
I can't have that thing sitting at 16 for 2 weeks. I don't. So, or Neeps, my mate Neeps, and after a few beers, he's a scary man. So I'd stay away.
Stay away from Neeps. Fair enough. Cold room and scary.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Best do.
Best do.
You would have had that many. This is going to be a tough one.
Like code do. I assume this is probably meaning.
Oh, can take it where you want.
My best code do would be the week after we were on the Shield, like I was talking to you about before. Like,
Oh yeah.
We thought we were the kings of the city. Like we thought we'd run it. We'd take the Shield everywhere, to every pub, and I remember me and Damien were riding around on Beaver's golf cart around the road of Tuna suburb, pretty hammered, which was a shocker looking back on it. But we thought I was on the back with the Shield like this. Cars are driving past, just tooting out to us. An absolute shocker looking back on it, but fuck, it was good times. And then non-rugby do. Shit, it's been a few. I reckon it could be any one of the lock-ins and dunners, but actually the Christchurch races last year was right up there. We had a hell of a crew, great spot, and just charged on. We just got back from the World Cup, so.
Did you do the week?
Loving it.
Tuesday to Saturday.
The full week, yeah. We did the full week, so just one of the great weeks. We played golf in between, and the Tuesday and the Saturday.
Things dreams are made.
We go back every year. Were they what? And dashed too. Dreams were absolutely crushed by the nose of some horses, for God's sake.
Oh, how good. Wow. What a story. Some yarns in there. I honestly really appreciate you coming on the What Lad podcast. It's been awesome to see you doing the things that you've been doing. I've been following your journey for a long time. You're an absolute champion bloke, and it's awesome seeing you get some of the respect that you deserve, not only on the field but off the field. Looking forward to following your career, not only in rugby but either DJing, acting, wherever you take it, mate. You're going to be a success at whatever you do. So really looking forward to following your journey, and appreciate your time, mate.
No, mate, thanks for having me on, and it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and your brother as well, actually. Two absolute top lads. So cheers for having me on, Jimmy. You're a top man.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Sweet, bro.